head-to-head in a season series this decade. All this while treating his players like the hounds he bets on.
Come on, fellas! Hold it. Don't give me no about the rest. Let me tell you something. All you did was pick Mike off. You stood there. You didn't even get out.
A lot of people want bench tickets. It's just like going to see Michael Jackson. I want to hear Doug Moe.
And he tells me I'm a stiff and a no-hoper, and my kid's a no-hoper. I tell him he's fat, can't coach, and all this talk about him being coach of the year is an absolute joke.
Some real tension there, man.
Bill Hansley's stash is the same. It's the
What
same
is up,
exact
everybody?
stash.
Welcome in to the DNBA live show presented by Illegal Pete's. There it is. I am your host, Adam Matas. I'm joined by the man with the wind in his hair, Harrison Wind.
Can we talk about Bill Hansley's mustache for like the first segment of this show?
Yes.
We can do it for a lot.
That thing is
first two
thick.
segments.
It's got some. Does he have some? Might have some product in that or something like that. Thing is incredible.
Some mustache wax.
I think the key question is it still the same mustache to this day? Has it been shaved?
Definitely, yes. Or
it might be.
it's like the what is the Gordon would know this. What's the name of the ship where you remove one plank at one point?
at
Is
a time. Oh, yeah.
the mustache? At
How
what
does
point
that
is it
work
no
with
longer the
mustache?
first?
but do you think? Are you insinuating that he takes it off and puts it back on? Because it should grow forward, right?
No,
like it should be
that thing
different.
is 100%
If I have to
okay.
explain it, it's not worth it. A man who has no product in his beard, it's D-Line Co.
That's actually not true. My beard is full to the brim with lotion, so it gives it a silky touch and a pleasant smell. If anyone cares to get close enough to find out someday.
Well,
Yeah,
nobody
no
does. Oh, hey, in accordance here, guys, touching on it anyway. There's Brendan Bowe, and from Denver Stiffs, it's Gordon Gross.
It is. I made it. You guys finally invited me on at a time I could make it. Unlike Adam, who normally invites me on when he's like, "Are you working 14 hours today?"
Yeah.
Cool. We have a podcast.
I always forgot, and this goes all the way back to the Denver Stiffs days.
Oh yeah, this is years. This is years of this.
The end of month is always tough for Gordon, and I did find myself like constantly texting him on like the 28th. Like, yo, you're available.
He knows. It's not like he doesn't know. It's been like 2016. He's been doing this.
Yeah, it is
Short
true.
memory,
It is true.
man. It's a short memory.
Well, it's
Right?
good to have you on the show, and it's good to see your beautiful face.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good, so good, so
The
beautiful.
goatee's a great look, man. Great look for you.
My girlfriend said the same thing. That's why I keep it around.
She was like, her weight
That's
probably-
all that
probably-
matters,
shit,
man.
you gotta
That's
keep
all
it
that
now.
matters. All
Her
that
opinion
matters.
carries a lot more weight than Brendan's, I'm sure, in that regard.
Sorry, Brendan. Sorry, man. Like I appreciate your thoughts on the matter, but yeah, really.
No, that's the right way to live your life.
Eric,
Well, I'm
step up
excited.
your hat game, man.
Step up my hat.
game.
What's wrong with my hat?
The
No, we
Manja
want
wants
the
to
dumb
see the
hat
silly
again.
hats
Yeah.
again.
Where
What's
you're
the
Uh,
silly? Oh, did you have? Oh yeah, where is the silly hat?
Wait,
Step down your
I don't understand why this is such a silly hat. Like that's unbelievable. I'll find. I'll put it on. I don't care. I don't need you people.
Today's show, guys, it's going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about the 10 best players of 2025. We're going to look into the
10?
crystal
Oh,
ball.
man.
Did you
I
not
have
come up with 10? It doesn't
We'll
matter.
figure it out.
Between all of us, we're going to have them.
I have
And
nine.
this is always a fun sort of exercise because it's impossible to know, and there's like
almost
a bunch
impossible to
of
have good
really
ideas.
young players that might actually just not be good. What's that?
It's almost impossible to have good ideas because you're starting with guys who are so young right now. And you're like, probably in 5 years that guy who's not in the league yet is going to be amazing.
What you just described is Adam's entire career. It is impossible to have good ideas.
Yeah, that's true. Adam's going to have that as a tombstone.
Okay, boo. Where's my? I need to upload a buoy.
Yeah, guy, you're supposed to do something.
Can't even find the
Yeah.
wiki, man. Come on.
It's really tough though, because there's a defined like top 4 or 5 guys that are older that probably wouldn't be on this list in 5 years, and then a bunch of younger guys that you're just assuming they make this leap. Like I thought there were only a hand, like 2 to 3 like obvious picks here.
There's not that many like 28-year-olds. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like 31-year-olds and a lot of like 24 or 5-year-olds.
You can tell where the draft was thin, man, because you've got a lot of guys who are really good right now but are aging out, and you've got a lot of guys who are really young right now who could probably be good.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
you
the
don't-
middle
never know
part
what-
where you would expect in there.
And some of them, we'll get to this later, but some of them could be the Derrick Rose, where 5 years ago you would have said, oh yeah,
Right.
Derrick Rose, multiple MVPs incoming, best point guard
And
in
he's
the
only
league for a
25.
decade.
Obviously, he'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Nemanya's telling me I pronounce his name wrong. I always say Nemanja, no? Am I not saying it right? Of course I know the soft J. Get out of here, Nemanja. So another...
He's taking shots at both. He's
just taking shots at our members, one by one.
Oh, yeah. You come in here, I'm throwing you out. I'm going to Michael Jordan to you guys. No, but before we get to that, I want to talk about... There's news today, guys. There's actually some big news, I would say. Well, I don't know if it's big news. There's big news about some potential big news later on. And that is that the NBA...
Yeah.
The NBA, Shams Charania is reporting, the NBA is really leaning heavily, I guess we could say, towards Disney World being the location of whatever bubble or not bubble that the NBA is trying to get. But a bunch of stories have come out. Players are now starting to be recalled. If you went home, out of your state, players are expected now to start coming back into state. So the Nuggets will probably start assembling in Denver here in short order. And it sounds like there's some real momentum building towards this bubble idea in Orlando. Gordon, when you saw these reports today, first of all, were you surprised? And second of all, just kind of what do you take away from it?
I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, they're talking about, starting back up in 10 days. That's quick.
Yeah, that is very quick.
Like
10 days.
Yeah, they said what, June 1st, right?
Yeah, and June 1st, I think, was that the date for people to start coming back to the teams?
20th?
But that's not that far yet. It's the 20th.
On
so
June
you're right.
1st, apparently the league is going to give teams like protocol for getting guys back into their market. So starting June 1st, I think you'll see guys start coming back to their market.
But we even saw mid-July as a start date for the season or something. There's a bunch of different details.
There's so much stuff going on, man. Like they're talking about doing a 70-game season, so using the back end of the season as like a preseason.
Yeah.
To try to warm back up. So if you're already done with the year, do you play? I mean, I guess you all have to show up if you're going to run the end of the season. Like that's sort of the problem.
Imagine
you can't just run a preseason of the guys who are in the
Cleveland
playoffs.
Cavaliers are going to look like when they have to come back for 40 pointless games.
Okay, if the NBA is trying to get to 70 games, we all know why they're doing it, so they can fulfill the contract with the regional sports networks so they can get that money. We all know that's the only reason they're doing that. It will be absolutely insane if they make the Cleveland Cavaliers and Charlotte Hornets play a meaningless regular season game.
Feeders.
They're going to make those guys schlep to Disney World. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we
trying
doing?
to figure out how to cut essential personnel in half. Let's bring the Cavs.
Let's bring Colin Sexton. He is very essential to this season.
What are we doing?
No.
But it's what drives me insane, man, is you watch these ideas, and they've had months. Like, it's not like this is a surprise. This is their plan after 2 months of shutting the league down. They're like, well, maybe we should run 70 games, and we'll see how it goes as sort of a preseason because we all have to get back into basketball shape. Then we're going to run the playoffs. What happens if somebody drops out of this league after, you get this weird schedule? You could possibly, the end of teams, the 8th, 7th, 8th teams could all bum out of the playoffs, especially in the West.
Well, so if they're saying to get to 70 games, how many games? I don't even remember what we ended on. It wasn't that many, right? It was like 10 less than 10 regular season games.
It's less than 10, yeah.
It's
less than
8. It's less than 10.
It depends on
really?
which team you are.
Yeah, so it's like less than 10, and there's a pretty good padding in both conferences from 8 to 9, I believe. So you're looking at this as it would be different if it was like, the Pelicans, because I think the Pelicans are 3.5 or 4.5 games back.
Right.
And that's enough that in 10 games it's like, come on, man, it's almost no chance. Unless you were just going to play like a Memphis-New Orleans series.
Unless somebody pulls a hamstring getting warmed up for the season because they haven't played in 2 months.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so
I
don't
feel
know,
like
man.
the best scenario,
I would just cut it,
I think, it's you just start the playoffs with the 16 teams that are in the playoffs right now.
Yep.
Yes, it sucks for New Orleans. And, I don't think the East number 8 seed's really up for grabs. But, yes, too bad, New Orleans. Like, you weren't good enough during the regular season. Zion got hurt. But you just start with the 16 playoff teams and go from there. That's
You
what
run
they've
their
gotta
preseason.
do,
You give them a few games to warm up.
Yeah.
And then you just play the playoffs. I don't know why they're messing around with 30 teams except for regional broadcast and, other cash considerations, I guess.
It is funny,
Which is
though.
important.
But, like, it is funny. Like, there's a good chance that you come back, you start the playoffs, you're at the 8th seed, and then you get 4 games anyway, and you're just out. That's the end. Like, that's going to happen for a lot of teams. Like, you're
better
in
than baseball with that stupid 1-game playoff. Where it, like,
Well,
happens 16 hours after your final game of the season. It's like you don't even get to catch your breath.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The 70-game part was by far the dumbest part. Another part that maybe is dumb, Jared Dudley was on Twitter today, and I don't know if we can say it reported, because I don't think he was meaning to report this, but he was basically saying, yeah, guys, bubble, not really. Guys can come and go as they please. There's no, whatever. And it's like, okay, all right. Well,
yeah, he muddied the waters, is what he did. He was like, well, do you guys think you know what's happening? Well, I don't think that's happening. And so now they're going to have to get clarification from the league. The league hasn't sent out any directions.
To me, this is the ultimate litmus test for how you feel about the whole situation is it a big deal? And I guess I'll ask you first here, Harrison, but is it a big deal that they might not be because we talked originally about this bubble being like you're locked in there, nobody else could come and you can't leave the premise. It sounds like it's not going to be anything like that. It's just going to be honor code.
No, because the players would never go for a lockdown type bubble thing. They would never go for that, nor should they. I don't think any player in any sport should. But I feel like this is honestly how we're going to have to live life for the next year and a half. There's just going to be some amount of risk that comes with life until there is a vaccine. And I think sports have realized that we're going to just have to operate under some kind of risk. Yes, we'll have the precautions in place that we can to make life for these guys as safe as possible, but there's just going to be an amount of risk to what we do, every single day. That's just what's going to come with the next 12 months.
My neighbor's kid has just walked into my house, and so
it's like social distancing.
You have no trouble with your own kids, Adam. Keep it together.
No, I don't know if you guys can see that my neighbor's kid's just bouncing down the way. So.
And Adam's gone.
And his neighbor's kid has taken over the house.
And took down the internet.
So I just think there's going to be some risk that teams and the NBA and sports and us are going to have to operate with.
That's the thing, is that we are, every day we're just looking for something to change, but nothing has changed. It's just, people are just getting more anxious. That's the only thing that's really different,
Okay, yeah, we see your face, Adam. Sit down.
This is great stuff, Howard.
Real pro move over here.
I mean, I think, sports won't lead the way. If the rest of the world is opening up one way or another, whatever that looks like, then, yeah, you just have to get used to the idea that there's going to be some risk that, the honor code thing will probably get violated, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Of course it will, yeah.
But if the rest of the world is
when you add that to, player... I don't know if you can throw it in the CBA, but when violation of team rules, if that's a team rule, do you get suspended for that sort of stuff? Those are the things the NBA has to figure out, is whether you dock people paychecks for, hitting the clubs in Miami, which are going to be open because Florida's not shut down.
Yeah.
Do you know how many crazy stories are going to take place behind the scenes during this story? We probably won't ever be privy to, but there's going to be some crazy. I mean, people were talking about a lot of these guys. They like to party. They have the lifestyle. They have the money to do what they want.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell these guys to go into this pressure-filled environment, and they're going to have to just sit in their hotel rooms. Nope. There's going to be some funny stuff going on behind the scenes and.
So somebody's grandma dies. Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
I didn't even realize that comment that we don't know if this season's over yet. So all these people have season tickets just hanging in the air.
Yeah, I realize that.
Be resolved one way or another. But
I'm very aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the biggest risk the league is going to run into is, do they have to shut down after they restart? And it's a risk they're obviously willing to take, and it's a risk that every league's going to take. But, I mean, if they have to shut down after they restart, that's going to be too much to overcome. And, what would it take for them to shut down? If LeBron and Anthony Davis come down with COVID-19.
That's what I was going to say. Is that
right?
So, do you even know, I don't even know what I want to happen anymore. What do you want to? Do you even know what you want to have happen anymore? I'm so muddy at this point. I have so many.
Do you want the season to?
Should we just be done with it? Should we? Yeah. Is it worth it at a certain point? Is it so ridiculous to string it along and then just have a disembodied playoff that that's further, when you have the national championship game that's 4 months after the season ends for college football? It seems completely ridiculous. Is this?
I mean, if money didn't rule the world and if money didn't rule the NBA. Yes, we would not be having a season. It's honestly ridiculous to put these plans in place about resuming the season in the state that the world's in. But
you know what? I want it.
But I think we all want it. Yeah.
Bubble,
it's
bring the bubble, baby.
But we all want
it. To do it, But obviously, I want more basketball. Bring it to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I'm busy watching like empty stadium UFC fights on a Wednesday. Like, come on.
All right, well, we got to move on because the other stuff I think is gonna.
You don't even know what we said, Adam. Don't even.
It was a lot of neighbors' kid talk.
Man, I'm telling you guys. Real quick though, before we go to break, just quickly, I feel with today's news, it's been building, but I feel more confident than ever that the league is coming back. I don't know if we're going to make it all the way through the finals, but I do feel like it's going to come back. Just real quick we'll go around. We'll start with you, Gordon. Do you feel more confident than ever that the league is coming back?
Yes. Yeah, they obviously have plans in place. I don't see any reason for them to stop doing what they're doing, so yeah.
Brendan?
That it hasn't been canceled yet tells me they're going to do everything they have and they can do. So I think
Eric?
it's coming back.
No, it's definitely going to come back. I feel very confident it's going to come back. Guaranteed. Call me MJ.
Harrison?
I think it's definitely coming back as well. And they'll try to get 7-game series out of it.
Who's going to win the finals? We'll go after the break.
Cool. Look at that.
That's how you tease.
All right, guys, let's hit a break real quick. If you're looking for some brews to pick up this week, check out the Mile High City Copper Lager, only from Breck Brew. One of our favorites.
Harrison, how can I find it? Like, what if I don't know where to get my bread?
So, I mean, you can get it in a ton of different places. You can get it from Breck Brew. You can get it from The Source. You can get it from Davidson's.
Always the move.
The Source.
Friend of the show. You could get it from your local liquor store. You can get it delivered. You can get it everywhere. It's the beauty of Breck Brew. It's worldwide.
Get it from my fridge.
You could get it from your fridge.
Also,
Also, if you're out of state or something, you can hit up the Breck Brew beer locator and find a close location where they're selling it. Also, guys, MSU Denver Online puts a dynamic education at your fingertips.
Let's go.
This is a Wednesday read for
Let's
sure.
go!
Without forcing you to decide between earning a degree and living your life. MSU Denver is the Colorado institution providing rigorous and affordable online programs. The great thing about MSU Denver Online is it's awesome for first-time freshmen, for existing students if you're looking to go back and get another degree. Maybe you never finish your degree in the first place and want to pick up a couple classes here and there. MSU Denver Online is awesome for all students. Check them out. Maybe you can take a couple classes during the quarantine as well.
I'm saying, too, like, there are kids that are just graduating high school right now that are supposed to go live in dorms that seem like complete petri dishes. Like, knock out some prereqs. Knock out some prereqs online. Like, save some cash.
Defer.
Yeah.
You know what, though? That first semester, that first dorm, like the first few weeks,
it's incredible.
They're not going to get it.
I know, that's what I mean. Like,
get it. Yeah.
You got to defer that to next year. In the meantime, get some prereqs out of the way. Like, don't take 8 o'clock classes.
Good life advice from Eric.
Thanks, man. Look at
this. Here was just nothing but life advice. I love it. Okay, let's get into our list. But before we do, guys, I'm going to rewind the clock. It's 2015. Okay, we're just coming off of it's actually the summer of 2015. Who won the 15 title? Oh, that was the Warriors. Okay, so we got a Warriors title, and everybody wants to look ahead and say, okay, who are the league's best players? Well, let's ask Bleacher Report. We have an article here. Josh Martin at Bleacher Report predicting the best. And I'm going to go quickly through the number. It's actually a top 20, but I'll go quickly. Number 20, Jaylen Brown. Like, okay, he's pretty good.
Okay.
Number 19, Dragan Bender.
He's
not great, yeah.
All right.
I was with them there.
Swing and a miss. Number 18, Jalil Okafor.
Okay.
We also struggled.
That was a number 2 pick, so.
Number 17, DeAndre Jordan.
Jesus,
he was good.
That was definitely a Warriors year. Yeah, okay.
We still know.
Wait, this is saying like this year, in this 2020 season, we should have seen this.
DeAndre Jordan should have been the 17th best player in the league.
Yeah. When we got John Wall, number 16, like okay,
dead on.
Number 15, Bradley Beal. All right.
Okay.
Number 14.
Yeah, that counts.
Number 14, I love this one. It's Andre Drummond, and for some reason he's wearing a Knicks jersey. So Andre Drummond it is.
All right.
Number 13, Karl Anthony Towns. Like, okay.
Okay.
Number 12, Klay Thompson.
Yes.
Number 11, I love this one. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That counts. That's a good pick.
Hey.
Number 10, James Harden. Number 9, Paul George. Like, okay, these are, he's somewhere in the ballpark. Steph Curry, number 8, and it says they predict he will have an NBA championship. Blake Griffin, number 7. Number 6, Kyrie Irving. Number 5, Russell Westbrook. Number 4, Kevin Durant. Can you believe this prediction number 4, Kevin Durant? In 2015, somebody predicted he would fall that. I mean, that to me is crazy.
What was he, the second best player, maybe even the best player at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was certainly like a top 3 player and up still rising. And number 3, DeMarcus Cousins.
Boogie!
Number 2, Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, wow.
And number one,
Wait.
And
Was the
number
person
one-
who wrote this the GM of the Wolves?
or Canadian national.
And number 1, of course, the only player left, Anthony Davis. That means LeBron James not in the top 20.
See you, Brandon. See you, Brandon.
Not in the top 20. I mean, look, LeBron's good, but is he Andrew Wiggins? I mean, come on.
No, he's no Andrew Wiggins, obviously.
So,
Yeah, he nailed that Andrew Wiggins being better than Giannis pick. We give him credit for that.
KD, yeah, he got both of them.
So that just goes to show you that this
Things change quickly.
predicting 5 years out is like it's such a fool's errand. I mean, there was other lists that I looked at that Derrick Rose was like just kept popping up as the best player in the NBA, and I guess if you go back to 2015, it was somewhat defensible. So we say all of that to say that our lists are going to sound so smart right now.
We're gonna suck. Yeah.
But 5 years from now, when you go back on YouTube and you find this clip, and you're like, "Okay, you idiots," they're gonna sound really, really, really
Just
dumb.
remember that it's not Andrew Wiggins bad.
It's not Andrew Wiggins bad. All right, so I guess the way to maybe Gordon, did you make an actual list of guys?
Why would I do that? You hate lists. Why would I make a list for your show?
Got him.
Got him. I like this kind of list. There's some lists I like.
Okay, then.
I like Schindler's List. That was a
I'm
good
saving
list.
that clip for later.
Wow.
I made a list. I'm not feeling great about it.
Yeah, I've changed.
I
mine
have
four
I have a
times.
list that I feel like I might donate to Bleacher Report.
Yeah,
after.
there's lists.
I
involved.
also. forgot
Okay,
about
all right.
Put
Jim,
notes down on a list. I'm not an idiot.
certified list hater, Adam. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll take this title. I don't care. Gordon, give us a first name on your list and just kind of defend it.
Do I have to defend Giannis? Or is there some reason I would need to do that?
Well, there might be, but I'm with you. But there
So
isn't.
what are the odds that Giannis is not one of the 10 best players in 5 years?
Right.
It's like
Very
gotta be
low.
so low.
So
It's all injury.
I put Giannis number 1 on my list, actually.
Same.
He'll be 30 in
Yeah.
2025. And if he is the best player, he's the best player in the league right now, I think. If he is the best player in the league in 5 seasons, that will be like an incredible run of being the best player in the league for 6 straight years, maybe.
Well, we talked about this a little
Yeah.
before. There's nobody else his age really who's on his level. Like he doesn't have a bunch of guys who came into the league with him that are also insanely talented, like megastars.
Yeah.
He rolled in, and there's only a couple of guys.
Yeah, he is the bridge guy, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
we're just
Bridge
talking
guy.
about how there's not
He's the
that
bridge
there's a
guy.
lot of old guys, there's a lot of young guys, but he's the middle.
He's the sweet spot for this list. He's still good now. He's going to be good later.
So here's what's going to be, I think, a lock to happen between now and 5 years from now with Giannis is he will go through the typical arc of the times that we are in, where he is sort of beloved. He has never gotten over the hump, but you know what? They haven't come for him yet. The haters haven't come out. The takes haven't come out on Giannis yet. The next 5 years, the takes are going to come for him. If he doesn't win, it's going to be a huge, well, maybe he'll never win. And, you know, if he goes to this team or that team and how he handles it. Like right now, Giannis his Q score is very high. Everybody loves him. He's a good dude. But we already know the rumors about his free agency. He might very well be on another team. He might not deliver a championship to Milwaukee. Giannis right now, just if we are saving this for, to rewatch in the future, Giannis right now, universally beloved.
Yep.
Yes.
He's totally universally beloved. Yeah.
Do we all have Giannis at 1? I think it sounds that way.
Yeah, I have Giannis at 1.
I didn't do the list that way, but I would.
Yeah, I just put a smattering of players.
What way? Like the way lists go? You do
He doesn't like
We're
lists.
going over the top 10 players, and you don't
He
put
doesn't
together
like
a
lists.
list.
I'll just take it over because my
I
number
have 14
2.
guys in the top 10, but it's cool. And they're not rated.
I will say he is the second person on my list, but not necessarily for a reason.
I really worked hard on this top 10 list for the last 30 minutes, and Adam rolls into
30
this without a list.
All right, you know
Don't
what?
worry,
He's
he
number
proposed
two. He's
it,
number
so.
two. He's number 2.
So my number 2. I don't know who your number 1, Adam, is. I think the person who would most conceivably challenge Giannis for me is Luka.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Check, check,
Adam,
check.
you and I were texting the other day. I think Luka will fall short of, and this is a very high bar, like the Michael Jordan, LeBron.
Yeah.
But I do think his ceiling is best guy in the league for 2-3 years. And the other thing with Giannis is like I think he'll be okay. I think he's a guy that can win a title, but you can scheme around him right now in the playoffs defensively, and in a way that it's just harder to do with Luka. Right. I'm gonna make Brook Lopez beat me, and if he does, great. But there's a strategy against Giannis and the other best guys in the world. I mean, like, what's your strategy for Durant or LeBron?
Right.
You know,
is Luka
the question
gonna reach that
with
height?
Giannis is always going to be: is he going to be Anthony Davis, who is great? He stats it up. Ooh, wow. He is a monster. He's a physical specimen, and he's not the best player on his own team if he's going to win a title. Yeah. Like, if Giannis is going to be that, then there's room for somebody like Luka to take the top spot.
But the difference is that Giannis is able to dominate the Eastern Conference, whereas Anthony Davis was never able to do anything. And his team is always middling the whole time he's ever. So
agreed.
Giannis has so much more dominance in him than Anthony Davis.
Yeah, does. I don't have Anthony Davis anywhere near my number one spot. Yeah.
Nor should you.
Who did you have one on?
So I legitimately did not make these, so this isn't. But I had Luka 1 and then Giannis 2 on my list. And that was
the first guys that came to mind.
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. Number
That's
3. I guess we can just go in kind of counterclockwise here, Eric. Who just give us your next guy?
Zion.
That was my
I
number.
had Zion 3 as well.
That was my number 3 as well. But he's, to me, I think the first 2 guys are locks to be top 10, or as much as you can have a lock. Zion, to me, I think he's going to be really, really good, but he's just not a lock yet. In part because we just haven't seen enough.
I made a bold proclamation, and I don't know where. We've talked on 17 different places, but in one of them that I think that Zion will be the MVP at some point.
Great, bold.
That's it.
That's not that bold, though. I mean,
that is bold.
He's averaging like 25 points per game through his first 10 games in the NBA.
So then why is he not a lock? If we're saying that it's dumb to say that he will be the MVP because it's obvious.
I think he's as close to a lock as you can get for this list outside of Giannis and Luka.
But where on the list? I'm not sure. So the injury stuff is obviously a concern. But
the injury, yeah.
The other thing is Zion is still 19, and like to be the best player in the league at 24, like you kind of got to be LeBron or KD. You know what I mean? And that's a high bar even for Zion. So he's in this ballpark for sure.
Yeah.
But I was a little more hesitant because of age, and then obviously the injury concerns are a real thing.
Yeah, and for me, I think Zion's going to be amazing till his knees fall off and his back gives out, and like. When you're landing 270, 280, 290 all the time, you mess yourself up. Like, that's just what happens. And so, for me, Zion's injury risk, I don't have him at 3. I'm like 5. Like, Zion's on the list. Like, I don't see how you don't have him on the list. He's a hard guy to stop. All these guys that are going to be in the top 10 are going to be scheme. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them are scheme guys. Like, how do you scheme to stop Zion when you just aren't big enough? Like,
well, it would just be you let him shoot.
Yeah, basically. Do not let him get to the rack is the plan.
But they try to do that with Giannis, and Giannis can still get to the rack most of the time.
Exactly.
Like over and through.
Yeah.
So we all had those 3 guys as our first 3 guys on the list?
Yep.
No, Brendan, you had somebody different.
Yeah. I have Jokic.
I love it. Let's bring it in. He's on the list. Here we go.
I thought long and hard about this. Obviously, I'm a homer. Tried not to do the homer thing. But yeah, man, all the other guys I have no arguments for right now better than Jokic. To me, they age out of this conversation. I mean, it's very assumptive, but 5 years from now, Harden, LeBron, Steph, KD post-Achilles injury, I think these guys are maybe sliding further down this list. After you get through Giannis and Luka, it's names like Zion, AD, Embiid for me. I think Jokic is better than 2 of those names already, and I think Zion actually has to clear a lot of hurdles to get there. So, given the injury stuff, I have Jokic as the more likely number 3.
See, I had James Harden, even because you're a homer. So,
so James Harden, what is he now? 30 years
he'll be
old?
like 35. He's 30 now.
So he'll be 35.
35, and the problem is his style of shooting and falling down never goes out of style. Like, as long as they're going to call that foul, James Harden's going to be a top 5 player in the league.
35, man, I could see Harden taking a step back.
Yeah.
A lot of his game is reliant on him driving also.
And the problem is he plays so many minutes. Like, Harden plays so many minutes, but LeBron has forever. and LeBron is, sailed past 35 with no issues.
Different
James Harden
approach, though.
athletically, though, I don't know. Is
He's
athletic in his
Harden
own
smoking
right,
in the bus on the way over, so I'm not sure that he has the same.
Different approaches.
Yeah.
Is this like outlandish for me to say? I know it's like a
No,
little.
not at all.
Dude,
I had him
Jokic
at
is
4.
4 for me. Don't even.
I had
give me
Jokic
crap.
5. I had
So
Jokic 5.
here's what I would say about this, is that I think all of us can agree, we can say, yeah, Jokic, after 3, I'd say the first 2 are like locks, Luka and Giannis. I think Zion, if healthy and, career breaks right, talent-wise, he's pretty much a lock too. After that, I think all of these guys have big question marks to him, including Jokic. And Jokic's big question mark is, we all think that talent and impact-wise, he is this guy, but we do get this from him. We still get the up and down, inconsistency of approach. But so there's a question mark around him too. But he was on my list as well, right there as well. So I'm right there with you, Brendan. Well, James Harden's interesting though, because he's another one. Here's what I would say when you talked about nice.
I'm 27, man, and I'm not thrilled about it either.
When you talk about one of the, these guys are going to be 35, 36, I think some of them are going to be really good. I think some of KD, Harden, that Jimmy Butler's or whatever, however else you want to throw in this, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, some of these guys are going to be good. We just I don't think all of them will.
We don't know which one.
We don't know which ones. So some of them are going to end up falling off. When we looked at those previous lists, some of the other lists I saw, Blake Griffin, obviously he was awesome, but he sort of, his curve kind of went poorly. There was Kevin Love was another player that back in 2015, before he had ever played with the Cavs, you'd look at him and go, man, he's 20-20. Like, this guy can only get better. Of course, that didn't happen. So some of these guys. What about Harden? Harrison, what did you think about the James Harden pick?
I didn't have Harden on my top 10 and didn't really even consider him.
I didn't either.
Top 10?
Same.
He's going to be 35 in 2025, and I just don't see his game really translating at the level it's at in 5 years from now. I just don't.
Our current bar for 35-year-olds is LeBron, and that's not how it works.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to put anybody over 30 on this list, to be honest.
The thing is, the way that training works now, and the way that guys go rehab in the off season, the way that they go to Europe to work on their knees, 30.
Who are the best 35-year-old players currently?
LeBron. End of list.
Chris Paul, I think, is right there.
I don't think he's top 10, though.
Is he a top 10 in the league?
No, he's not.
No, but he's close. He's close. He's good. I guess close. There's a lot of good players.
Well, but this is where you start asking what guys are going to make it through. For me, James Harden doesn't have the injury concerns that maybe you'd have with a Kawhi or a Kevin Durant. He's not an all-world defender, maybe, but how many all-world defenders are around in the league anymore that are on this list? How many of the guys on your top 10 are all-world defenders?
Yeah, there's the difference between what can they be and what are they for 82 games. Right. Like LeBron even is, he's a good defender when it matters, just not...
Yeah, 16-game defenders. I think Kawhi's going to be a 16-game defender, in 2025, but I don't have him on my top 10.
Wow. If we sort by just a 4 box plus, or no, a 3 box plus minus or higher, LeBron James is the only 35-year-old to do that. The next is Chris Paul at 34, then Kyle Lowry at 33. So yeah, I guess this is a fair list. 35, it's very rare.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Wow.
And Kawhi will be 34 in 2025.
Okay, so who's our next guy? Who have we not gone to here? Gordon, give us your next one.
Well, 4 for me was Nikola Jokic, and I had Zion Williamson at 5. So my guys
are
a
little different order. Okay, what's the next one? We got all these guys.
Who was your 3, Gordon?
My
Harden.
3 was James Harden.
Oh, that's
James Harden. So, all right, give us the next one, Gordon.
Jason Tatum.
This is an interesting one. He's on my list, but I don't
got him on there.
So I've got Jason Tatum at 4.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got him high also, 5.
I've got him at 4.
Well, all right, let's hear the reasoning here. Let's hear the rationale.
He's so hard to do this.
He's so hard.
Well, I mean, Tatum just put together a season where he went for 24-7 and 3.
Yep.
Shot 40% from 3, and he's 22 years old. And, I mean, I'm just looking at the way the league is going. If you got a guy like him who's kind of like poor man's Kevin Durant-ish in terms of scoring from the wing, that's the guy you want in the NBA in 5 years, I think. So I just think his game really translates really well, and he's done so much at just 22 years old.
What's his best talent?
Scoring.
Let me ask you this, because this might surprise you. How many 30-point games does he have in his career?
I mean, he averaged 24 points per game this year, so I'd say, how many 30-point games?
I mean, 30 is not that high of a benchmark. This is kind of my point.
30?
He's got 15. How many 40-point games does Jason Tatum have in his career?
Zero.
Two. He has
See?
2 40-point games in his career. I just
Okay,
find
well,
this...
he's 22. I mean...
hey, man, look, Jamal Murray has a handful of 40-point games, and you know what I mean? This is my point is Tatum Tatum and Ingram aren't interesting comparisons because they're two guys side by side, whereas one guy I feel like has actually proved it a little bit more
Jamal Murray has
year.
2 40-point games, I think. Right?
Okay. Tatum does as well.
Right, but I
think Tatum's a lot better than
and
Jamal Murray.
I'm taking the 6'8" Tatum over,
My point is that it's a bit surprising. I remember we did this with Gary Harris, maybe we should have known 2-3 years ago when we were like, man, Gary Harris is so good. Then you look and he scores like 26, and they're like, a career high. And you're like, oh my God, that's the career. Hold on. With Tatum, I just think there's a little bit of that. Very efficient. I really love his game.
You think he can't be a number one? Is what you're
10.
saying? You think he's not a number one player? He's like he's a second banana to somebody.
Tatum?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think he's gonna be one of the 10 best players in 2025. It's just that with him, I think there's more of a question mark around him. I just think he's proven it a little bit less than people sort of give him credit for.
I was very shaky about putting him at 6. Even it's one of those things where you're projecting growth in his game. This Tatum right now should not be the 6th best player in the league, or the league has a problem.
Oh yeah.
For 5 years.
He kind of reminds me more of like a Paul George type. Better, I think. His ceiling is higher, but I do wonder if I think he can be the best offensive player on a really, really good team, but I also wonder if later of his career, if he ends up in his, if he's a 2 at the peak of his powers, he could be a really, really great complementary piece.
Absolutely. I mean, isn't Paul George top 10 currently?
Exactly. And this is the thing: is it takes 2 top 15 players to win these days. Sure. So I don't think there's any shame in whatever it is.
Tatum is, to me, I had the hardest time with Tatum.
Yeah,
because I think his ceiling is as good as any of these guys. But sometimes I feel like there are just lulls from him. But I guess all these guys.
All these guys.
That was the spiciest one I had on my list. Tatum at 4th.
Oh wow, that's surprising. Vote, give us another one.
I have Anthony Davis at 5. We did that, yeah.
No, we haven't done Anthony Davis yet. I think he's pretty much a lock.
How old is he?
20.
He's 27, so he'll be 32 in 2025.
Yep, he's still a baby, man.
Anthony Davis is too
he's
good
Come on.
to ever be out of the top 8 of the league, but I don't think he's ever going to be the best guy in the league.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's locked into that. 3 through 8 spot for him.
He didn't even make my list. He probably should have made my list. I thought he was just too old.
Yeah. No, he's actually in that range. I think he would be 30. Would he be?
Him and Giannis, 32? Must be the
32
two guys in this middle.
He's the oldest guy on my list, actually. Anthony Davis.
It'll be interesting to see where his career goes from here, because obviously he has this year and another with the Lakers, and with LeBron, I think that probably you could tack another year on there as an encore performance. But after that, I'm curious, does he stay in LA? Does he become the guy that's bridges to the next era, or is it we did this time here, now I'm going to go find the next time at the next big place or something? I mean, to me, that'll be the most interesting sort of thing with him. I have Ben Simmons on my list because everybody knows I'm a huge Ben Simmons guy.
Because you love him, yeah.
I think he is so massively underrated. I don't think he's he certainly has his flaws, but just the way people talk about Ben Simmons is this damaged goods, he'll never be good.
He's good now. Yeah.
He's phenomenal now, and he has a fatal flaw and is still phenomenal.
He is phenomenal. I've got Simmons at number 7, actually.
Okay.
I think that's
I didn't have him on my list,
he's
but
spot.
he's in my next tier of whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I had internal debate about him. I left him off the list, though.
I mean, Ben Simmons is an All-NBA first-team defender, and he's a borderline top 10 guy in the league, and he still can't shoot a jump shot.
Yep. If he ever gets a jump shot,
he's incredible.
One of the best defenders, arguably the best open court player, even now. He's a heck of a player, and I don't think his shot will ever come around. I think he's always going to be this guy.
And that's my thing is I compare him whenever I was if he ever gets a shot, he'll be great. Was Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. If he ever gets a shot, but he's not going to get a shot. I don't think that Ben Simmons is ever going to get a real shot, and so it's tough for me to put him in a top 10 in the league.
He's 23.
I know.
He's not even attempting threes though. It's not he's 23 and he's shooting this. It's he's 23 and we're trying to get him to take one.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't think he's ever going to take him. Like, to be honest, like I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
Can you crack the top 10 without having that in your arsenal?
I think you can.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Is he top 10? Is he close to
yeah.
top 10 now?
But I do think it keeps him out of a top 5-ish kind of deal.
Yeah.
I could see Ben Simmons being on the best defensive team in the NBA, like just this like team that like nobody can score on, and I can see him being such a physical force that it's like, oh, Ben Simmons is going to draw all these fouls on opposing teams. Like, oh, we can't put our best defender on him because he's going to foul out whoever it is. I just think there's so many things he brings to the table, and the one thing he doesn't is so loud. It's important. It's loud for a reason. Right. It clouds people's thinking.
I'm not against you. I don't have him at like 5 or anything. Like for me, Ben Simmons is like 12 in the like 10 to 15 range of what I would expect guys to be. If he can shoot more, sure.
Him getting paired with Joel Embiid, I think, has been negative for him because I don't think you can build a team for both of them. Nope. I think they both can win together. I'm not one of those guys that thinks that you have to break them up. It's just harder to appease both. But if you gave him a Giannis situation where it's like, oh, this is our guy, everybody else is just to fit around him.
Do you remember when they went on that huge run at the end of the season without Embiid?
Yes.
It was just built around Simmons, exactly that.
Yeah.
And the thing about, for all their talent, Simmons and Embiid, they're doing what they're doing in systems, rosters that do not optimize either of their skills, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, Simmons is playing with a lot of aggregate talent, but this is far from an ideal setup for him.
Will he ever get that, though?
That's a good question.
We'll find out. Harrison, before we move on, we have more players on this list. Even it's going to get more controversial here as we get to the end of this week. I can't wait. It's going to get so spicy. Harrison, take us to our next break.
All right, guys. Strava Craft Coffee is still hooking it up for you guys. You can get 20% off when you use the code DNVR20 at StravaCraftCoffee.com.
Hell yeah.
That's what powers us through these podcasts.
So
I don't know if we'd be
sent-
able to do these without Strava.
Allie and Patrick got mugs, got Strava Craft
I
mugs.
saw
Unbelievable.
Those look legit.
Stop using these commercials to complain about your free Strava goods.
I am Strava's #1 fan.
Yeah, you deserve it more than anything.
You guys can get Strava whole bean or ground or in K-Cups for 20% off when you use the code DNVR20. And also, you guys, we're covering the Raptors, the Colorado Raptors, of course, on the DNVR network. And we've been doing some DNVR watches on the weekends, watching old Colorado Raptors games. And those have been pretty fun. Those freaking rugby players, those guys are some absolute units. Absolute units. I would not want to stand in front of one of those guys. Crazy.
I agree with Frisco MG.
But if you guys want to learn about some rugby, we're watching rugby games on the weekends on Twitter with DNVR Watches. Also, check out Colton Strickler's Raptors
Are you a rugby
podcast.
guy, Gordon?
My mom's English, so
okay. So
Yes.
Is that it? Through
there's some
osmosis?
rugby there.
There you go.
Check out the DNVR Raptors podcast with Colton as well.
Oh, look at this great detail. This is going to become our new Strava in Serbian means something fearful and great at the same time.
Oh,
We learned this with Inat, that a lot of Serbian words have two meanings, one good and bad, and they're also the same. So I like this idea of
Context matters, yeah.
great, but also fearful.
Yeah, what is that? How do you reconcile?
It means friendship, but also murder. Like, oh, God. Okay. These don't seem together, but no, just play. All right, let's go next on the list. Go ahead, Eric. Give us your next name.
this might be a little spicy.
It's definitely spicy.
Brandon Ingram.
Wow.
All right.
I mean, look, it's funny to
Brandon
me.
Ingram.
It's funny to me that he's
The
spicy
bashful
and Tatum's
assassin.
not.
Tatum's
Well, I just feel like Brandon Ingram is he's just so quiet the way he goes about his business that people don't really notice him. But
Yeah.
the way he started to shoot the ball at the end of this last season, I was so deeply impressed by. Like, he's the type of guy where you watch a game and then you look at the box score, you're like, oh wow, he has 30 points. Like, where did that
also
come from?
still 22 as well.
Yeah, and he's super young. Like, he never got a fair shake in LA because LA is a terrible place where nothing good happens.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
But I see good things for Brandon Ingram.
What a great year he turned in. I mean, I know we talked to Christian. At times, some of it was hollow, didn't always translate into impact. But I mean, what a big jump for a guy. There was a lot of doubt for him his first few years in the league, and
He showed up.
Trajectory looks different. Yep.
Yeah, I have a different spicy, lanky guy, but yeah, like that's
It's all we need.
Does
MPJ,
his
say
first name
MPJ.
start with a P and his last name start with an S?
It
No,
does.
say- Oh.
Me
It
too,
does.
baby. Me too.
Yeah, Pascal Siakam.
Oh, there we go.
Adam's like, who the hell? Yeah.
Isn't he Spicy P? Isn't that his nickname?
Yeah,
That
it
is
is.
Spicy P. Is Pascal Siakam a top 10 player? See, that's
I had him
He's only
just
25
outside
now.
my top 10. I had him just outside my
I'm
top
at 9.
10.
Yeah.
I've got him like 15th. I think he's really good. I'm a big Spicy P fan, but to me, he's that next. I mean, we just talked about Chris Paul not being a top 10 player in the NBA, which is true. Like, there's Luka Doncic at this moment might not be a top 10 player in the NBA if you really go through the list. Top 10 is tough. I think Siakam's really good. I just don't know that I don't know that he's a top 10 player.
There's doubt there.
I'm betting on that curve, man. I'm sure Brendan is too. Like, you see what he's done in the last 18 months, and you're like, all right, what's that look like in 5 years when you're still just 30?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it too. But there might, to Adam's point, like, this wasn't an easy pick. There could be a harder ceiling on Siakam than the last 18 months would suggest. But in that 18 months, among the biggest improvements we've ever seen, really.
There's even Jimmy Butler, you could argue, is like a fringe top 10 player. He's really good. It's just the top 10, when you really start to add, even if you bring in Kevin Durant, who didn't play this year, but if you add him to the list, like, it's a pretty stacked list. And it usually is.
There's a name we skipped that
Joel
I had
Embiid?
down at 7. Yeah, I had him at 7.
I did not have Joel Embiid on my
I
list.
left him off.
He's off my list too.
We are some haters. I have him on my list.
Two injury
Definitely
problems.
some haters.
Way too
I
injured.
don't think he's gonna make it. Like 5 more years with
Yeah,
that.
no way.
With that body, I don't
just-
think he's gonna make
I
it.
can't, write a guy out. Do you know what I mean? It does
We're doing
keep me from
projections,
saying,
man.
1 or 2, but I don't want to just be like, well, he won't even be in the league. He's too talented for me to not put in the back 5 years.
Dude, as a Nuggets observer for many years, watching dudes get knee injuries and be crappy was like, a rite of passage.
It's a big
so
part of
I'm
the
just waiting
experience.
for him to blow it out at 7'2", 3 bills or whatever it is that he weighs.
Yeah, he's a big
You're
boy.
done. That's gonna be it for you. You're gonna be taping that knee up forever, and you're not gonna be a top 10 player. I'm not saying he's not gonna be in the league.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
could-
saying.
Yeah, he could very easily turn into Andrew Bynum in 2 years, and
Well,
minus the crazy part. Well, I don't know, maybe the crazy part,
So
but
what's interesting is on that list we read, number 3 was DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, there's a really good
Right.
chance one of these guys is going to be the DeMarcus Cousins of
Yep,
that list,
for
where it's
sure.
like, oh
And
yeah,
Embiid's
he
the-
just
the
never went
favorite.
there. Embiid is probably the favorite.
But again,
there.
I can't just be like, well, he won't even
I hear
be
you.
there. He might, he might.
Also, so he'll be what? How old is he at this moment? Does anybody write that down?
24?
Embiid's 26.
Yeah.
26. So he'll be 31.
which he'll definitely be over the hill by then.
Yeah.
That's a great point by Fresco MG, and that I think those names specifically he just mentioned or brought up. Guy, I don't know if you can bring that comment up again. I had a tough times with those guys for this very reason.
Yep.
Towns, Booker. Young.
Yeah, I did not
Yeah.
know what to do with Devin Booker and this list because
I left Devin Booker off.
Me too. But there's
Same with Trey
top
Young,
10
that
is
left
so
him off.
hard. Top
But
10
yeah,
is really hard.
Top 10 is different, man.
Klay
It's
Thompson, man,
I know.
was incredible defender and shooter, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure he was ever top 10
Right.
player. He was great, but I don't know if he was ever a top 10 guy.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing is that leaving off the list is not an indictment of these players. It's
Oh,
just
of
saying
course not. Of course.
are they the greatest versus just are they
But
really good? I don't know.
if Devin Booker is the same guy and he's in Boston, am I slotting him at 6 here? You know what I
Probably.
mean? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it is very true. You have to be on a relevant team, which, by the way, I think Booker will be, because I think Booker is a.
Get the hell out of Phoenix.
He's not.
You think he's
he's
gonna
gonna be in the
yeah.
desert?
He's going to be in LA or
no
he's
one
going to be
He's
in
yell
gonna
at
Golden
do
State.
with AD. I think that's the next plan.
He gets
Yeah,
to do
honestly.
that, by the way. No one yell at Devin when he leaves. That's good for him.
Anyone who
the other one-
survives the Suns gets applause from me. Honestly,
Karl Anthony Towns. So let's just kind of lightning round some of these guys. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns. I think, first of all, Karl Anthony Towns is also, like Booker, going to be in a big market at this point in
Yes.
5 years.
I agree.
So factor that in.
Yep.
I had him at
I've got Towns number 8 on my list.
I think Towns goes someplace east. He goes to New York or Boston or whatever. He gets to his big market, Miami, wherever you're going to go, where you're like, I want out of Minnesota and I want some help, and he's going to go get it. So yeah, I think Towns is on the list.
Towns is better.
I had
than
him off,
Siakam.
but
gotta-
I could easily be talked in, but I didn't have him on the list.
So I could see Drew Kreisman, if he still watches, is going to love this one. I could see there be a real Melo Chauncey thing with him, where it's he's paired up with a Lowry or something.
Melo?
Well, yeah, no, Towns, where it's
Still in the
Towns and
league.
Lowry on a team, and Towns is putting up 25 and 14 and 6 assists, and it's like, oh man, he's increased the engine. And then as soon as Lowry leaves, it's like, oh man, this team sucks again. What happened?
I think the
Oh,
worry
man,
for
he's
Towns
like
Putting up those numbers, just
Yeah.
like Minnesota.
The worry for Towns is going to be on the Kevin Garnett track. Just be in Minnesota for the next decade and have to get traded to a team in his waning years.
He has control over that. They have more. Even Kevin Garnett, like nowadays, I think Kevin Garnett might have asked out sooner. And I didn't look. Also,
Sure.
KG, I think a lot more loyal and more of a like, this is where I am. I have to do this. Towns, I think, is already like looking for houses in LA.
I love our.
I think Towns is mobile. Yeah.
I love our lightning rounds on this show. Like, it's like hangs out for 10 minutes.
So yeah,
Strike of
I
lightning.
had Towns, Siakam, and Ingram kind of in a group. Does Devin Booker belong in that group to you guys? Is that overrating him?
No. I think Devin Booker's really good, but I don't think he's that type of guy.
Yeah.
I had Booker just outside my top 10, but I think Booker's going to be the same exact guy now that he is in 5 years.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
All right, what about John Morant?
I have him on.
So I had John Morant 10th to round out my list.
Yeah, I left him off. I just left him off because it's so tough. Like he should be Dame, like, right? But Dame on a list. You know, is Dame a top 10 player? Like he probably just got there.
Probably, yeah, I don't think so.
Fringe. He was fringe,
I don't think so.
So he's fringe anyway. Like I think even like at his peak, Ja is a little suspect, and I don't think 25 or whatever he's going to be then is going to be his peak. So
he does have a good situation, a good co-star. I think a guy they fit well together. Right. So
they should be a good team for a while.
Yeah,
so
I think Ja's career, like people are definitely.
Ja will be a very good player for a very long time. I expect.
Yeah. What's everyone's spiciest entry on their list?
So mine's probably Tatum at 4. I've also got Trae Young at 9.
Trey, man.
I don't have Trae.
I didn't have him on there either.
I don't have Trae.
My
Trae Young
spiciest
just averaged 30 points a game in his second year.
I know, but
on a team that won like
so
20 games.
Yeah,
But I think
they are
think
currently.
they'll be okay. I don't know if they'll be good. I think they'll be okay.
Well, what makes him better than Booker?
I think
He can shoot way better than Devin Booker.
No, but here's the thing.
No, you think
Devin
he can.
Booker
He doesn't
No,
yet.
no. He does.
I watched him do it to the Nuggets.
No, he does do more things. The question is that what you want? Like,
right?
Devin Booker, I think, can be the second or third best player on a team and fit it. Trae Young, I think, if he's on a team, until we see him.
It's the Trae Young show.
He's
exactly.
A ball in my
So,
hands. Yep.
so I just don't know. I like. We have
you
Cade Walker here.
Trae Young.
Cade Walker here with Cade Cunningham and Amoni Bates.
Cade Cunningham is my number 10. I guess that's my spiciest pick.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah, of course it is. Look at this. So Cade Cunningham, for people that don't know, I think a 6'7" point guard. Here's how people have won me over on Cade Cunningham, and I've watched the tape. He's very good.
Did
He's
you?
an elite passer.
Yeah.
What I hear is he's Lonzo Ball with a jump
That's
shot
enough.
in a one-on-one game.
That's already enough for Adam. Adam's in.
I'm in.
Yeah, he's like Magic Johnson. With the jumper.
He can shoot. He's not a great shooter yet, but the stroke is there, and he's good. Like Cade Cunningham, my list is made up of a bunch of guys.
Yes, Beast didn't hop in.
You know, my list is made up of a bunch of guys who can do a bunch of things. Like I like Luka, who can do, almost anything with the ball in his hands. You can also spot up and shoot. Like you're looking for passers and shooters and big guys who are hard to match up with to make a top 10 list. You've got to have guys who can't get shut down. Yeah. And for me, Cade Cunningham fits the bill for that. Now you haven't seen him even play in college yet. But that's the guy.
Before he's the top 10 in our.
Amani
he's the MPJ, from 2 years ago when MPJ was the best in 3 drafts. Cade Cunningham is probably going to be the best in 3 drafts, and his draft is actually really deep. So
yeah, and that draft will be like an all-timer. And Amani Bates, crazy. So Amani Bates is like, correct me if I'm wrong, he's like 6'11". I mean, he's like super tall. He's sort of
Amani
like
Bates is like he's a Kevin Durant. Amani Bates is.
Yeah.
MPJ's a Kevin Durant. Nothing but Kevin Durant's coming into the league.
Yeah.
But like Amani Bates is like a 6'10" 3 who's real thin. Like
your
really
chances
Kevin
of being
Durant vibes.
a top 10 guy at age 23 though.
It's tough.
I mean, it's almost impossible.
Here's my spiciest one. My spiciest entry.
Okay, let's hear it.
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, you know what? I like it.
Wow.
8-0. I don't want to overrate him. He's not in my list. Like he's not.
He's on there, baby.
He's not anywhere. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised by it. I would not be surprised by it.
I do. Listen, I watched Jokic
I would
absolutely abuse him, just absolutely make a toy of him early on in the season. Then I saw him later in the season, and I saw real progress in his game. And I just know that he's going to fill out more. I know he's going to get stronger. Yeah, that's right.
Value bet. Yeah.
You know,
I'm taking
be honest. How much of your decision to put him on the list was influenced by him giving Jokic props?
Oh, 0%. I forgot about that.
For me, that's what did it. Like anytime, like a player is like, you know what? You know who I want to be like? Jokic. I'm like,
kisses the ring. It's okay. I got you.
He complained
how it is.
about
Like
the
some players come into the league and like the guy they aspire to be. You're like, really? That's who you're trying to be. Like, don't. Why? You know, whatever. Like I don't know. So guys come in with the same skill set and they're like, I want to be Steph, and you're like, okay, that's interesting. I want to be the Kyrie, or I want to be, you know, whatever. You're kind of like, I don't know, man. Really, what is it?
Right.
You know, whatever.
I asked Flacco that once, and he was like, you know, just like end of the bench,
Great
just
point.
know my role, like 12th guy.
Yeah, exactly. Flacco
Shoot for the stars, baby. Shoot for the stars.
Absolute unit.
That's why he will be a 12th guy. By
Yeah.
the way.
He's looking to be the top 10 on his own team.
Guy,
at some
let's bring
point.
Buckets on. We have returning guest Buckets in the queue here. Let's bring him on. Buckets, what's happening?
Buckets, our man.
What's up, guys?
So help us fill out
What's
this
up?
list. Who have we left out that deserves at least a mention?
Okay, so a little bit of dark horse, but I've never seen anybody mention Jonathan Isaac. It seems like everybody's kind of given up on him. I'm not really sure why.
Jonathan
he seems like a
Isaac's
very
doing good.
modern player to me.
I definitely gave up on him. I continue to.
He is a really good player. The question is he a top
So
10?
skinny. So skinny.
The question is whether he can turn into Kawhi. Like, the question is whether he can be Kawhi. And
The answer's
almost no
no.
one can be Kawhi. Like, that's... You're asking guys to make
Yeah,
a
but he's
huge
like
jump.
6'11", man. Like that's just.
I think he has all the tools. I think the biggest concern is, does he kind of have the Jeff Green personality where he just kind of floats in and out, maybe?
Let me tell you, I have all of the tools. I have all the literal tools in my shed, and I still can't build any furniture. I can build nothing with all my tools.
I don't think you'll ever see Isaac as the best player on a team, but I think peak Isaac is a guy that could slide into any team. Like any championship team would take a guy like that.
And it could be a Pascal Siakam type player where it's like, okay, you have Kawhi, your Kawhi guy is your number one, and then Jonathan Isaac's your high level number two that guards everybody 1 through 5, and you know you have a top 3 defense just because of him.
It's a good name, though.
Before the Nuggets got Jeremy
I
Grant,
know.
before the Nuggets got Jeremy Grant, I thought Jonathan Isaac was maybe the best fit in the league out there next to Jokic.
He still is. I mean, just because they got Jeremy Grant, and then
Nothing's changed.
Well, I mean, I haven't really been thinking about that. Jeez, you
I'm also fascinated.
Real Schrodinger's trade there.
He's also from the Bronx, which is
go for it again, Buckets.
I'm really fascinated to see what happens with Trae Young's career because he's already proven that he can put up absurd numbers
Against the Nuggets
How well are they
specifically.
going to build a team around him? Because they're clearly going to have to put defenders and shooters around him. And then if you can put up those kind of numbers and it starts leading to wins, he's definitely going to be a top 5 player.
Yeah, they're going to have to build around him like the Warriors built around Steph. Get the right players, the
You
right
just
pieces.
need generational players around him. That's all.
Yeah, simple.
You do. You do.
Simple.
Trae Young, I'm telling you right now, I already know. I've seen into the future. 5 years from now, that is going to be our most polarizing take. He's either going to be a top 5 player like Steph Curry-esque and this, or he's going to be terrible and we're going to be like, what the hell did we spend 20 minutes on Trae Young for?
That'd be their Bleacher Report entry.
I don't think he's going
That'll
to
be
be the 14th best player in the
Wiggins.
league. Let's put it that way.
Or he's
gonna
going to be
top
Allen
5
Iverson.
Yeah.
Yeah, statistically, he's Iverson with a good attitude.
Oh.
Good attitude. I mean, I don't know that. I don't know not that, but I don't know that I can verify that one.
And confusingly thin hair also.
Is there anybody else that we feel absolutely needs a mention? I mean, there's other guys out there that, I mean, we wouldn't be shocked if there were, but is there somebody that we would be neglecting if we didn't mention?
Any chance Donovan Mitchell can sneak into 10 through 8? I don't have him.
I would be shocked. I'd be really shocked.
I would be. Like, I mean, it's, again, anything's possible, but I would be surprised if 5 years from now, Donovan Mitchell was a top 10 player in the league.
So we just came up in the chat. So there's a couple here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I could see it. I don't think
he
so.
was
but
in my 11 to 15 range, maybe, probably.
Yeah. And I don't even think he'll get that. Who knows? Kawhi Leonard, we didn't mention. He's only going to be 33.
That's what I'm saying. He's on my list.
So Kawhi Leonard, I think, should be on our list. I actually have him on my list. Now, hold on a second there, guy. You're burying the finale here.
Yes, this is on my list also.
Are we not already
Kawhi top 16? Like, I still think Kawhi is going to be an amazing playoff player. I think you still want him. I don't think he's an 82-game player, so I don't think you have him in the top 10 in the league.
I'm counting the playoffs, man.
I do.
Like, honestly, that's how I would weigh this. Is like, is
That's
he?
what I was
when
doing this
push
for,
comes to
really.
shove, are they a top 10 player?
I don't know, man. The way, like, this is anecdotal, whatever. I don't know. Maybe he feels great. But the way Kawhi looked after he won that title and how banged up he was, and there's all this confusion about the mystery injury from San Antonio. Like, is this a guy you have to be seriously concerned? Does he have enough in the tank to be that guy?
And that's why I don't have him. I just think that he's not going to age well enough health-wise. Even though it's not, it's miles. It's not the age, and he has some miles on him from some injuries that worry me.
I agree,
Paul George, to a lesser extent, I think in the same boat. Where again, I wouldn't be. He's so skilled and so athletically gifted. You know, he's just so tall. He could age, but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
35. He might be
So
retired.
No
I'd
De'Aaron
say
Fox.
De'Aaron Fox. I wouldn't be shocked. I know. I actually got some tweets about him. Could be. I don't think so. I wouldn't see it.
Jaren
So,
Jackson Jr.
I had JJJ on there too.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good.
I
That's a
have
good
one
candidate.
last one.
Okay.
Have we all already given up on RJ Barrett after 1 year?
No,
I didn't give up on him.
I gave up on him.
I mean,
in his 1 year
look
in
at
college.
his team.
Right, yeah.
You're like, I was never in on him in the first place.
His team was so awful.
Yeah, he's another one. That we can all look stupid years from now. We haven't seen enough.
I
of
don't
him
think
this
he'll
1
be
year.
top 5 in 5 years.
I don't think so either. He could
Maybe
be
he's
really
a late
good player.
bloomer, and he
You know
gets
what the
there
funny
later.
thing is I think he's the opposite. Like, I think he's a man-child. You know, like he's just he physically looks like what I think he'll look like in 5 years.
I thought he was the version of Okafor when when Okafor was on that list. You know,
I could
Joel
see it,
Okafor.
yeah.
He's a big man. He looked good.
We're
He
laughing
should
at
have had
ourselves
some
for
impact.
talking about him.
Yeah, and he got in a league with other guys his size and who were more skilled and ran out of juice. He had nothing.
Okay, so let's close this with the hammer, guys. Let's just for a second assume health, because the reason he's not on any of our lists is health. But let's just
He's
assume
on my
health.
list.
Let's just assume health, all right? And I know that's a huge assumption. But what are the chances Michael Porter Jr. could be a top 10 player if he was fully healthy?
5 years?
Great.
5 years. Yeah, he's
On
only
the
going to be
table.
27,
On
28.
the
He's,
table.
the chances are great, man. If
On
he's
the
healthy, he's an unstoppable combo of size and rebounding and scoring and who's stopping if we're doing it once? If you stop him the first time, he gets the rebound and does it the second time. Like what?
Yeah.
If you get
Michael
Kevin
Morris.
Durant rebounding, that's Michael Porter Jr. So you're just assuming that it's health that's the problem.
Yeah, if we're
course.
greenlighting the health thing, he's
Yeah.
definitely in
If
there.
you're
Yeah.
He put 82 games a year for the next 5 years, then yeah, he's a top 10 player.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's
I
also just a little bit of the Zion argument where we just haven't seen a ton of him.
Yep.
I
Right.
think he
Yeah.
played around the same amount of minutes as Zion did this year.
Guys,
Yeah.
I only read the headline,
Which is
so
crazy
so
to think about.
Forgive me if I get some of these details incorrect, but I heard that in Antarctica there's an
Yes.
alternative universe. I just
Yes,
learned that.
they discovered
I
that.
just learned that. Yeah, just discovered there's a whole new dimension. In one of those, he is a healthy player, and I think in that one he is a top 10 player.
Absolutely.
Look, call me a homer, and I am. This one I'm not nearly as confident as I am with my Jokic takes. But
I went
just
full
think
homer.
He's so talented.
He's on my list, and I completely ignored the health concerns that I slighted and beat for.
Nemanja is throwing negative vibes out here. Then somebody else I put in your bowl. Okay, less likely, but you know what? F it. Let's do it. Bowl's also on the list.
PJ
right.
Dozier, he's long.
PJ Dozier also on there.
Six on the West. It's fine.
All right, you guys know what time it is. It is time to wrap up the show with the steps. And Buckets, you've already played this, but that doesn't mean you can't be an advisor to Gordon.
Oh.
To Gordon, who is now going to be put
Oh,
through the ringer.
Oh, baby.
In case
Oh,
you
God.
don't know the way that the steps work, we are going to give you a series of questions all about the Denver Nuggets. And if you know your stuff, you're going to know all of them.
Well, I don't know my stuff, so we're good to go.
Well, nobody does, because nobody has gotten anywhere close to finishing.
We're
this, so
exposing everyone.
Not true. We
on
got
that
to
one.
we got to 14.
we did get one person. No, this is fun. And then Buckets over here, who has
man, Darwin.
he's a veteran of the steps. He is going to be able to help you if you have any questions. Let me mute the
I'm
question.
relying on you, man. You better not mess this up for me.
I'll do my best.
Who made these questions today? Who was on questions?
I did.
All right, so Harrison
I'm
Wynn
screwed.
made them. So if these are tough, send all hate mail to him.
They're easy. This was an easy round.
All right, number one. In 2019, who became the first Nuggets player in 8 seasons to make the All-Star team?
Nikola Jokic.
That is correct. No hesitation.
Hey,
That is correct. Number 2. What number does Michael Porter Jr. wear?
I have no idea.
What? Is this true?
Perfect. We'll go with number 1.
Number 1 it is. That is correct.
I love that, dude.
Hey, I'm bad with that stuff too. Number
Dude,
3.
I have dyslexia, so like number-wise, I don't keep track of anybody's numbers on the court. I'd be dead.
Which NBA team is the closest to Denver geographically? I hope Harrison fact-checked this one.
Right?
Wait, what's the question again?
Did.
You'd think it'd have to be Utah, but that makes me question it.
Which team is
I think it
geographically
might be
closest
OKC.
to Denver?
You know what? You're probably right. Let's try
I think
OKC.
OKC's a little closer than you. I mean, Salt Lake's like a 14-hour drive. I've done it. OKC's
Yeah, it sucks.
closer than
Salt
that.
Lake sucks. You're not wrong.
Incorrect.
It's Utah,
Here's
isn't
the
it?
fun part is I really hope that Harrison actually Google Map this. Did you do
I
this?
didn't. No.
Can we fact check this right now? Can we do this?
Yeah.
Can you hop on and fact check this one? This is
Yeah, I'm on it.
incredible.
I'm
you
on
guys
it.
stay backstage because if you were not wrong, Harrison.
Then
personally
Harrison's
has to
out.
Buy you a shirt.
This is incredible.
Fact checking on. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Yeah, is this as the
Straight
crow
line,
flies?
yes. Yeah, as the crow flies. What are we getting here? This is fascinating.
Hang on. It is. Utah.
It is
It is
Salt Lake. Look at Harrison. Man, that was one of my favorite moments in Steps history.
Wow.
You know, that's how geographically inclined I am. I just knew it.
You just had
Off the
had a
dome.
feeling, right?
Everybody, thanks so much. This was fun, guys. This was a great time.
This was a
Guy,
good
by the
one.
way, I saw you just said it's Utah. You could totally just hop in the on screen of next time if you wanted to. Producer Guy, guys, carrying us through this one. Great show. Special thanks to Gordon Gross at Denver Stiffs for hopping on. Our old friend. It was great to talk to him. Great conversation. It was a lot of fun. Everybody, tomorrow, who's our guest? Do we have a guest lined up?
It's soft yes for Katie Wingy. I'll follow up.
Ooh,
So maybe
super-
Katie Wingy.
Yeah.
So maybe not. We'll find out. So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Wait,
It was a lot of fun.
Just before we go, can I just say one thing as we're about
Please.
to leave? LeBron James is number 10.
I love it.
It's not even close. Salt Lake City is 2 hours closer to Denver than it is to Oklahoma City. It's not even close.
Good night. Oh my God. Ridiculous.